Refresh.
Hello and good evening, students. Hope you're all doing well. Okay. Uh, just give me some time. Actually, there's some technical issue. We are getting that resolved. Am I audible to all of you? Okay, I'm audible and visible, right? That's one good thing. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. So welcome to Baiju's Exam Prep IAS. So today we have another webinar on GS Weekly Current Affairs. So before we start this session, here is a reminder that we have already started our mains test series from 4th June 2023. I hope all of you are attempting these test series. They will definitely help you in your preparation for UPSC. Here is our topic list. This one. So sorry. So here is our topic list. We have 7 topics. We have aspartame, QS and NIRF ranking, World Competitiveness Index and Global Livability Index. We have greedflation. Then we have a very important topic, that is gravitational wave. The SOO agreement, what it is all about, what it is related to. And lastly, we have from ecology about 2 animals, bald eagle and Hasarius Mumbai. After these 7 topics, we have another surprise topic for you, which is regarding what? Locations. So this year you have seen how in prelims UPSC asked about very random countries, right? So in the location part, we have taken 2 countries, Belize and Egypt. We'll tell you why we have taken these countries, and quickly we'll tell you what are its neighboring countries, what are the water bodies surrounding it, and what are its major features. Okay. So let us start with the first topic, aspartame. Now, all of you must have read in the news that Diet Coke, it has aspartame, and WHO is going to declare aspartame as a possible carcinogenic for human beings, right? So aspartame is very much in news in this past week. Why? Because an agency known as International Agency for Research on Cancer, it is expected to declare aspartame as possibly carcinogenic to humans. It is going to have its revisionary meeting in this month, in the starting of this month, and it will give its final decision as to whether or not aspartame needs to be put in this category. Just a second. Okay. So carcinogenic, Abhishek, carcinogenic means something that can cause cancer. Okay. So IARC, it will declare it in the end, in this week itself. So about aspartame, what actually it is. Okay, I'll change my color. Is this one visible to all of you? Okay. I'm so sorry, there are some technical issues. Just give me 2 minutes. We'll all get comfortable and then we'll resume our session. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so about aspartame, what actually it is. Now, there are many food products where aspartame is used instead of sugar. Aspartame is an artificial sweetener. See, sugar you get from natural sources. You get it from sugarcane, right? Aspartame, it is chemically made in the laboratories. That's why it's called artificial sweetener. So it is an artificial sweetener which was discovered first in the year 1965. This is the chemical formula of aspartame, C14H18 N2O5. You can see the chemical structure of aspartame over here. Now, aspartame, it is 200 times sweeter than sugar, and it does not have the calories that sugar carries. So that's why when you talk about Coke Zero or Diet Coke, they market it like it does not have calories. When you're dieting, you can have this particular drink, right? Normal Coke, it has a lot of sugar, but Diet Coke, it does not have sugar. It has what? Aspartame. So aspartame, it is more sweet than sugar, and it does not have the calories that is associated with sugar. If I'm not audible, I'm not visible, just refresh your screen once. Okay. So it is right now, it is being used in over 6,000 products all across the world. It was first approved for usage in USA by its Food and Drug Administration. What is FDA? Food and Drug Administration. So it is an agency of the United States government, and aspartame was first approved for use in food by the FDA in 1974. Later on in the 1980s, many countries of Europe, they also started giving permission to use aspartame in the food products. However, at the same time, many researchers were also saying that aspartame, it is not safe for consumption by humans. So, however, in 1994, what happened? Finally, entire Europe, it gave its permission to use aspartame in the food products. But since 1990s, there have been even more research about the bad effects of aspartame. In fact, there is an Italian non-governmental research agency known as Ramazzini Institute. It has been conducting a lot of research on aspartame, and it said that when the rats were being given aspartame in the quantities that are within the permissible limit by the FDA and the European regulators, even then it was found that rats were becoming more susceptible. They were becoming more susceptible to cancer, various types of cancer, especially brain cancer. However, there were many agencies who said that this study by Ramazzini Institute, it is not correct. They have done their independent studies and they have found that aspartame, it is very safe for human usage as well. But it was found that these agencies who were saying that aspartame is safe for human use, many of them, they were funded by what? They were funded by the food lobbies, like Calorie Control Council, like American Beverage Association. So it was found that they were funded by these kind of agencies. So there was not much trust on who to trust. Okay. So about IARC, what is so special about IARC? What exactly is IARC? In the context, I told you that International Agency for Research on Cancer, IARC, it is going to declare, it might declare aspartame as possibly carcinogenic. So IARC, it is actually an agency of the World Health Organization. It categorizes various items into 4 groups. If it is group 1, then it is definite that it is carcinogenic to humans. If it is group 2A, then there is a high probability that this product is carcinogenic to humans. If it is group 2B, then it is possible that it might be carcinogenic to humans. And if it is group C, then it is not actually classified in any of the above categories. Now, IARC categorization, it basically depends upon the research that has been done about that product. It does not say exactly what it wants to say. So basically, IARC, it is not giving a conclusion of its own. It is just telling that these many research was conducted and majority are saying that this product, it is carcinogenic. For example, if If 100 research was done on a particular product X, if 100 on 100 they say that it is carcinogenic, then this particular product will be put in group A. If majority say that it is carcinogenic, it will be put in group 2A, that it is high probability this product is carcinogenic. If there is a 50-50 consensus, then in that case it will be put in group 2B. So possibly category is used when there is limited amount of evidence in people or according to the data that this particular product is carcinogenic or it can cause cancer. Okay, so IARC classification, it is of 4 types. Group 1 says whether this particular product it is carcinogenic. Group 2A said that it might be carcinogenic. There is a high probability it is carcinogenic. Group C says that there is limited evidence that yes, it can be carcinogenic. Okay, so this is about IARC. Carcinogenic, Alka, it is something that can cause cancer in your body. So Jiva, Alka, your doubt, I guess it has been cleared. So this has been, this is why aspartame was in news. Example, Neha, of aspartame is like Diet Coke. Diet Coke uses aspartame. Some sugar-free candies, sugar-free gums like the one by Wrigley's, it contains what? Aspartame. Okay. So here we come to this question. So this is the question. Identify how many of the following are correct statements. Aspartame is the sweetest chemical known to us. Aspartame has been declared to be carcinogenic by humans by WHO. International Agency for Research on Cancer is an agency of WHO. You have to identify which of these statements are true. I'm giving you 15 seconds. Stop. Okay. So most of you were not able to identify the correct answer. I'll tell you what it is. See, this is incorrect. It has not yet been declared as carcinogenic. It might get declared. It was a trick question. This is correct. Yes, IARC is a part of WHO. What about this one? So this was not covered up until now, but I'll tell you. See, aspartame is 200 times sweeter than sugar, right? However, there are many other products which are even more sweeter than aspartame. The sweetest item that we know, it is 20,000 times sweeter than common sugar, that is advantame. So here, yes, I missed this point. Yes, other products that are included in this category, in this group 2B, where aspartame will be included, include diesel, nickel, aloe vera, and some Asian pickled vegetables. Okay, so they have been included that they might be possibly carcinogenic. Some research, it says that they might cause cancer. It is not 100% evidence that it is definitely carcinogenic. Okay. Now we go to our second topic, which is about QS and NIRF ranking. The QS World Ranking, you must be aware of that every year QS World Rankings, they are released, and we always try to struggle to find Indian universities in top 100. Up until now, no Indian university, it has received an under 100 ranking. Apart from that, last month, the NIRF rankings, they were also released by the Department of Higher Education. So first, let us take a look at QS ranking. Now, QS, it is a acronym for Quacquarelli-Symonds. Now, Quacquarelli-Symonds, it is an agency which is based in UK. It is an educational and career agency. Okay, so it provides information about various careers, various educational opportunities. Every year it releases its QS rankings. They are published annually for universities all across the world. Now, what is the criteria for this ranking? What are the parameters that are used? Parameters include the academic reputation of that particular university. It includes 30% of the weightage. Earlier, up until last year, 40% weightage was given to academic reputation. Like, what is, am I audible and visible to everyone? There's this internet issue over here. Okay, now it's resolved. Thank you so much. Okay. The second criteria is the citations per faculty. Now, when you write any paper, when any person writes a research paper which gets published in any particular journal, then if I am using that particular research paper for my own research, then I will have to give the credit to the original researcher. So this is known as citation, giving credit to the original researcher in my paper. So if or not the faculty of that particular institute, they are getting enough citations. So it is 20%. Next, employer reputation. What is the reputation of the people who come to recruit from that institute? Its weightage is 15%. From last year, it has been increased by 5%. Am I audible? Okay, so if I'm not audible, please refresh your screen. Next is faculty-student ratio. What is the ratio between faculty and student? For example, there was 100 faculty and 10,000 students. Then what will be faculty-student ratio? 1:100. So faculty-student. Am I visible and audible now? Okay, thank you. Next is international faculty ratio. Compared to the domestic faculty, how many international faculty they are being recruited in that particular institute? It is 5%. Then international student ratio compared to the domestic students, how many international students are there? Then three new criteria, they have been included in the 2024 edition of this ranking. What are these three criteria? It is sustainability, how sustainable the institute is with regards to its operations, with regards to its education. Then employment outcomes, whether or not the students who study from that institute are able to get a job. Next, international research network. How strong is the research network? How many faculties and students they are collaborating with other institutes? So all these three, they have been included in the latest 2024 ranking. It is 2024 ranking, not 23. So the rankings they release is for 1 year ahead. 2022, they released 23 rankings, okay? So the changes in the parameters. Now, a lot of parameters, they have been changed. I have marked them as red, green, and yellow. Red are the ones whose weightage was reduced. Academic reputation, its weightage was reduced from 40 to 30. Faculty student ratio, its weightage was reduced from 20 to 10. Employer reputation weightage was increased from 10 to 15. And these three, the yellow ones, they are the new ones. Okay. So because of this extensive changes in the parameters, there have been a lot of variations in the rankings of the institutes compared to the previous year. In Indian institutes also, these variations, they have been seen. The Indian Institute of Science of Bangalore, which earlier was under 150 ranking, it saw a big drop in its ranking. It went to 225. Last time it was 155. Before that, it was even under 155. So Indian Institute of Science, it saw a rapid drop in its ranking, and it was said that faculty student ratio, because its weightage was reduced, that is why IISc, it experienced this drop in ranking. You don't need to go into extensive details. Just know that there is one institute of India which is under 150 ranking. That is IIT Bombay. Now, when it comes to the various other statistics, in 2024 edition, 45 Indian universities, they were included in the ranking, out of which 10 of these universities, they were under 500 ranks. When it comes to Asia, India was the third most represented country with regards to the number of universities that were ranked. It was seventh most represented globally. In Asia, the most represented country was China, whose 71 universities they featured in this ranking. Second was Japan, whose 52 universities featured in this ranking. And third is India, whose 45 universities they were featured in this ranking. So this is about the QS ranking. You just need to know about the criteria that is used, how many Indian universities were there, which Indian university topped in this particular QS ranking. Okay. So someone has this doubt, Nazakar has a doubt, whether employer reputation and employment outcome, they are same. See, employer reputation, it is basically the companies that are employing from that university, how reputed are they? Employment outcomes mean how many students of that university are getting job. Okay. So next we come to the NIRF ranking. So NIRF is National Institutional Ranking Framework. So this is the ranking that is done by the Government of India, by the Ministry of Education, specifically the Department of Higher Education. And this has been done since the year 2015. The Ministry of Education, it was before 2020 known as Ministry of Human Resource Development, and in 2020 its name was changed to Ministry of Education. So under this, we rank our institutes of higher education. And these ranks, what all ranks are given? One is the overall rankings of all the institutes of India, all the participating institutes of India. Next, we have separate rankings for universities, for research institutions, and for degree colleges. Also, discipline specific rankings are given. What are the disciplines? The areas of study. Like there are separate rankings given for medical colleges, separate for law colleges, law universities. We have rankings for pharmacy, dental, engineering, architecture and planning. And this year, for the first time, another discipline was added, that was agriculture and allied sectors. So NIRF, it is nothing but ranking of the various institutes. Which institute is the best for particular discipline, for particular thing, which institute is the best, so that the students who want to apply to the institutes can make an informed decision. NIRF is National Institutional Ranking Framework by Ministry of Education of Government of India. Now this year, another change that was done apart from addition of agriculture and allied sectors was that Atal ranking of institutes on innovation achievement, which was done up till last year to identify which institutes are the most innovative ones. This ranking has now been merged with the NIRF. This has been done to avoid repetition, so that these institutes, they do not have to submit the same information to two bodies at the same. I'm so sorry, there's some issue over here. So sorry. Yeah. MOHRD is Ministry of Human Resource Development. Am I audible and visible now? Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. So what are the various parameters that are used for the NIRF ranking? See, majorly there are five parameters, within which come the sub parameters. What are the five parameters? You just need to know about that. You don't need to know about the sub parameters. That would be too extensive. So the major parameters include teaching, learning, and the resources available for the students, under which comes the student strength, how many students are studying in that institute, and that also includes the number of students who are doing a PhD over there. Then faculty student ratio, wherein the focus is on the permanent faculty. Sometimes they have guest lecturers, sometimes they have contract faculties. The focus is not on them, the focus is on how many permanent faculty do they have. Then combined metric for faculty with PhD and experience. So how many of the total faculty, they have certain previous experience, they have a PhD. Krishna, it does not, NIRF ranking is only for higher educational institutes. It does not include schools. Next is financial resources. How much resources do they have and how effectively are they being utilized? Next is research and professional practice. How many publications, how many research papers they are written by the faculty and the students of that particular. If I'm not audible and visible, please refresh your screen once. Then combined metric for quality of publication. The publication, is it published in very reputed journals or some very domestic and local journals? Then IPR and patents. How many patents does that university have? How many intellectual property rights they have been gained by the faculty or the student? Then footprint of projects and professional practices. Their projects, have they been useful at the global level? Their professional practices, have they been emulated at some other place? Next is graduation outcomes. The university exams, how are they conducted? How many PhD students they are granted PhD every year? Next is outreach and inclusivity. How inclusive is that institute? First is percentage of students from other states and countries. If the university is in, say, Bangalore, that is in Karnataka, then they'll try to understand how many students are there, how many students from other states have come, or how many. Hi, students. I'm so sorry, there's some internet issue over here. Just a minute, okay? Just a minute, please. It's going by, like, it's going again and again. Too many problems with buffering.
Just refresh it now.
Okay, now it's fine. Okay, am I audible and visible? I'm so sorry. Today this is happening. I'm so sorry. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Next, we have outrage and inclusivity. I have told you what this means, percentage of students from other states and countries. Next is percentage of women diversity, how many women candidates they have been given admission. How many people from economically and socially challenged backgrounds are given the admissions. Then what all facilities they are available for people who are suffering from certain disabilities. Are there ramps for the people? Are the signs given in braille or not? So things like this. Then the perception ranking. For example, if someone asks you, how do you perceive this particular university in your mind? So you'll say that it is a very good university. For example, IIT Bombay. Most of you will say it is a very good, it's an amazing university. So that perception, it is also counted. Okay, the perception of the public. Then comes peer perception. How do your peers perceive you? How do your peers think you are like? For example, if you ask about IIT Bombay from a person who is working or studying in IIT Delhi. So this is peer perception, academic peer perception. Then employers. For example, a company, it is going to recruit in particular locations. For example, if a company like Infosys, it is recruiting from many colleges. So how is this recruiter perceiving or thinking about that college, whether that college is good, whether that college is bad? Okay, so the 5 major parameters are these: teaching, learning and resources, research and professional practice, graduation outcomes, outreach and inclusivity, and peer perception. So these are the 5 parameters which you need to know about. Sub parameters I have just discussed to give you an idea what do you understand by these parameters. Okay, so research and professional practice, many of you are saying, just repeat this. So basically, how much research is being done by that institute? How many papers are being published by that institute in reputed journals? So that is identified over there. The projects that are ongoing in that institute, are they useful for at what scale? At national scale, at local scale, at global scale? So things like that. So this is a question for all of you now. How many of the following statements are true? QS rankings are released by an autonomous agency of US government. Only one Indian university featured in under 150 ranks in 2024 QS rankings. The NIRF rankings are undertaken annually by the Ministry of Education. So I'm giving you 15 seconds once again. Okay, so most of you have given the correct answer. So this statement is definitely wrong. First of all, it's not a government agency, it's a private agency. Secondly, it's a private agency based in United Kingdom. This one, it is correct. Yes, one university, that is IIT Bombay, it featured in under 150 ranks in this ranking. This is also correct. Yes, NIRF rankings, they are undertaken annually by the Ministry of Education of Government of India. So 2 statements are correct and our correct option is option B. Now we come to the third topic of the day. which is about two indices: World Competitiveness Index and Global Livability Index. Yes, Aniket, under 150 means 1 to 150 ranking. Anirudh, it's Ministry of Education, Department of Higher Education. Okay, so we come first to the World Competitiveness Index. Now, this is 20. Okay, so one more doubt many of you have. It is 2024 QS ranking or 2023. It is 2024 QS ranking. They release it 1 year in advance. So these two are correct. So that is why our answer is B. So World Competitiveness Index. Now please do not confuse this with Global Competitiveness Report. The Global Competitiveness Report, it is released every year by World Economic Forum. On the other hand, the World Competitiveness Index, it is released by another agency. It was released last week by an agency known as Institute for Management Development, IMD. Now, this is not RIMD. This is not the meteorological department, okay? It is Institute of Management Development. So, it has been released by this institute since the year 1989. Abhishek, IIT Bombay is a deemed university. So, since 1989, this particular institute, it releases the World Competitiveness Yearbook, which gives the World Competitiveness Index. It analyzes how any country is using its resources in order to be more and more competitive, in order to produce a lot of value. For example, you might have a lot of natural resources, you might have a lot of human resources. However, you might not be able to use that in order to create a value, in order to increase your GDP level. But if some country is able to use that particular resources in order to increase its GDP, that means that country is more competitive compared to the other country which is not able to use its resources. So it analyzes how the countries, they manage their competencies or they manage their various resources and ability to use those resources to create long-term value, to increase their economic prosperity, to increase their social prosperity, and so on. So for this year's index for 2023, 64 economies of the world, they took part in this index. They were measured, and they were measured for their competitive nature based on 336 criteria. 336 criteria were used this year. Now, every year, this criteria, the number of criteria that are used to create this index, they keep on changing. They are revised based on the scenario. So, these 336 criteria, they can be categorized into 4 categories. 1, the economic performance of that economy. How efficient is the government of that economy in regards to governance? Then how are the businesses of that economy performing? And lastly, what is the infrastructure ability of that location? According to this, in 2023, the top 3 economies on this index were Denmark, Ireland, and Switzerland, all 3 from Europe. So what is India's status in this regard? India actually dropped from 37th rank to 40th rank for this year. For the previous index, for 2022, we had risen from 43rd rank to 37th rank in 2022. But in 2023, our rank has dipped to 40th by 3 points. In economic category, government efficiency, business efficiency, infrastructure, in all the categories, our ranking has dipped. Now, here are certain indicators that are used for different categories. For economic performance, this IMD, it studies these indicators like domestic economy. How is the domestic economy? How healthy is the economy? How resilient is the economy to external shocks? Then international trade. How much trade does that country does with other countries? What is the international investment? How many investors are willing to invest in that country? Then employment. What is the employment situation? How many people are unemployed? How many educated people are unemployed? Then prices of the various commodity, whether the people are able to buy those products or not. Then comes government efficiency. How efficient is the governance system of that country? Like public finance. Is the public finance being used in a transparent manner? The tax policy. Is the tax, how is the taxation? How much revenue is being earned from the taxation by the government? Then institutional framework. How are the various institutes? How are these institutes? They are bound by certain principles. Is it a democratic institute? Does everyone have a say in the functioning of these institutes? Then business legislations. How are the businesses run in that country? How, what all laws are governing the businesses of that country? Like in India we have Companies Act, right? So similarly, what all legislations have been put into place so that the businesses, they run in a very effective manner? Then the societal framework. How is the society? How peaceful is the society? What is the situation of law and order? Then comes the business efficiency. What is the productivity of the businesses? How is the labor market? How is the availability of labor force, the skilled labor for the businesses? Finance. Are the businesses able to get finance, access to finance? What are the management practices of the businesses? Do we have crony capitalism? Are the businesses being not properly managed? Then comes the last category of infrastructure. Rashi, please refresh the screen. I think there's no internet issue now. Next, we have the last business efficiency. What are the attitudes and the values of the businesses? Are the businesses purely profit driven, or do they have any social impact? Then infrastructure. What is the basic infrastructure? The availability of roads, the availability of transport, availability of various other infrastructure. Technological infrastructure. Is the country digitally powered or not? Scientific infrastructure. How many research institutes exist? Is the research robust in the country? Then health and environment. How is the health and environment status of the country? And finally, what is the level of education? So you do not have to learn all these categories. You just need to know about 4: economic performance, government efficiency, business efficiency, and infrastructure. So basically, many of you are asking, why do we even have this index? Why are we calculating this index? The reason is that these indices, they provide information to the various agencies which have the money, whether or not to invest in this country, whether or not they'll get good returns on their investment, by identifying whether this particular company, sorry, whether this particular country, it will use those resources that are invested in them and produce long-term value. Okay. So India has shown improvements in exchange rate stability, in various compensation level, how much money it is being given to the laborers or the workers. And it has also shown an improvement in the pollution control. We are able to control our pollution better than last year. However, various challenges, in the various parameters, they showed challenges like sustaining high GDP growth, managing financial market volatility, controlling inflation, and the fiscal deficit of the government. The fiscal deficit is what? Difference between the revenue and the expenditure of the government. accelerating digital transformation, and mobilizing resources for infrastructure development. Basically, investment, mobilizing investment for the infrastructure sector. So these are the challenges in front of India. If we are able to work properly upon these challenges, our rank will definitely improve from the current 40th to even lower rank. Now we come to Global Livability Index. How livable is a city? How comfortable are the citizens of that city? So that is determined by what? Global Livability Index. So it is released every year by a private agency. You must know of The Economist. It is a very famous magazine, right? So the Economist's Intelligence Unit, EIU, it releases this index. Now, this index, it ranks the cities on the basis of how livable are they. How comfortable will anyone be living in that particular city? So there are 5 parameters that are used to determine the livability of that particular location. One is stability. How stable is that region? How stable is that in terms of law and order, safety, in regards to how stable in terms of natural disasters, and so on. Then healthcare facilities. Are hospitals available? How easily is the primary healthcare, secondary and tertiary healthcare available to the citizens in that city? Next, culture and environment. How is the culture of that location? Are the people very much willing to accept the outsiders? How is the environment of that city? Is it clean, or is it not? Then education. Is proper education available in that city? Are proper educational institutes available over there for children of all ages, for people who want to achieve higher education as well? Next, infrastructure. What is the infrastructure status of that city? How is the connectivity? Do we have mass transport systems? How are the roads? How is the electricity infrastructure? So all these, they are taken up, and on the basis of these parameters, these broad parameters, this index is prepared. So 5 category for each factor, 5 category of ratings are available for each factor, which the citizens tell about. One is acceptable, tolerable, uncomfortable, undesirable, or intolerable. So basically we are giving 1 to 5 rating to the city on these parameters. Whether it is acceptable, that means it has a 5 rating. It is intolerable, means it has 1 rating. So on the basis of this, it is determined whether or not that city is livable. So according to 2023 rankings, 178 cities, they were ranked by EIU. The top 3 cities were Vienna. Vienna is in Austria. Copenhagen of Denmark, and Melbourne of Australia. Only one city of Asia, that is Osaka, which is located where? Only one Asian city, it featured in top 10 rankings of Global Livability Index. Now, according to this index, according to the report that was released, if I'm not audible or visible, please refresh the screen once. So according to the report that was released with this index, it was found that the Asian and the Pacific region, the Asian Pacific region, APAC, it is making a huge progress with regards to providing the citizens the conditions to make the city more livable. The European region, however, it saw a decline in the entire ranking system. So even though right now European cities are still at top 2, but still European cities, they have seen an overall decline in their levels of livability, whereas the Asia Pacific cities, they have shown an improvement. With regards to India, 5 cities, they were included in this index for this year. We had Delhi and Mumbai, which were at 141 rank. We had Chennai at 144, Ahmedabad at 147, and Bangalore at 148. So the total number of cities were 178, out of which all the Indian cities were in 140s. The least ranked cities include the cities of countries which are war torn, like Syria, like Libya. We have Tripoli in Libya. In Syria, the capital Damascus. So these were the 2 least ranked cities. So here is the practice question. So the practice question is, okay, so Isaac has a question, why is Delhi 1 despite the pollution? See, if you see over here, environment is just a small part of the entire ranking system. There are many other parameters that are considered. So here is a question, which of the following statements are correct? Global Competitiveness Report is released by World Economic Forum. Global Livability Index is released by Economic Intelligence Unit. Okay, so please take care of the options before answering. Okay. So most of you have given the correct answer. See, Global Competitiveness Report, as I said in the starting of this topic, yes, it is released by World Economic Forum. The World Competitiveness Index is released by IMD. Okay, this is correct and this is also correct, and our correct answer is option C. See, someone has asked a very interesting question, how one is global, other is world. So basically, these are terminologies that they want to use. They didn't want to sound too similar. So instead of Global Competitiveness Index, they said it's World Competitiveness Index and things like that. Okay. Vishal, we have improved in compensation level in competitiveness index. That means that the wages that are being provided to the various workers, it has improved. We move to the 4th topic, which is greedflation. Now, what is greedflation? You know about inflation, right? Inflation is what? A rise in the price. A rise in the price of the commodities, a general rise in price of commodities. Priyanshi, IMD and WEF are not the same institute. IMD is a different institute. World Economic Forum is different. So according to various studies, coming back to greedflation, according to various studies, after the pandemic, the price rise that we see or the inflation that we see, it is being driven by greed. And this phenomena is what? Greedflation. So whose greed it is? We'll take a look in the next slide. See, ideally what happens? Inflation, it is caused by what? Either demand pull, that means there is a huge demand for that commodity. The people are ready to pay any price to get that commodity. What is happening for tomato? There is a limited amount of tomato in the market. People are ready to buy the tomato because it is an essential for many Indian households. So they are ready to pay any price to get tomato. So there is a huge demand. The supply is limited. So that is why there is inflation. There can also be cost push inflation. That means that the raw materials that are being used to produce a commodity, which is then sent into the market, the price of these raw materials, it has increased. So the entire cost of production of this commodity, it has increased, and that has led to an increase in what? Inflation in the market. Okay. But greedflation, what is greedflation? It is the rise in prices as a result of profit maximization efforts of the corporates, or basically corporate greed that is driving inflation. So what happens is that the final MRP, or the selling price, that is there on the product, it includes three things. One is the labor cost, how much wages were paid to the laborers who were involved in that production process. Second is non-labor cost, other costs like interest on the loans that were taken by the company for the production, the rent that the company is paying for the land on which industry is there, the cost of the raw materials, and other things. Third is markup profit. For example, labor cost was 10 rupees, non-labor cost was 10 rupees. So this was 20 rupees. Now there will be certain profit that the company would like to gain so that it can pay dividends to its various shareholders, right? So this is markup profit. This is gained through markup profit. So they will put certain amount of markup profit and finally sell the product at 22 rupees. So when the markup profits, they are increased beyond particular thresholds, then this criteria is known as greedflation. Yes, Amit, right? Basically, the selling price, it includes factor cost plus taxes. So factors of production are what? There are four factors of production. What are the four factors of production? Land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. Land, over which the industry is constructed, labor, who is working to produce that product, capital, it's basically the amount of money that is taken from some bank, or someone is investing that money in order to cover other things like buying the machinery, buying the raw materials, right? And the entrepreneur is basically taking a risk, and he or she is building that business. Okay, so in the end, the land, in return of land, what is the labor cost? We have rent. In return of labor, what is the factor cost? We have wages. In return of capital, what is the factor cost? We have interest. And entrepreneur, they get the profit. So if entrepreneur, they start increasing their profit, they start increasing the price of their commodity just to increase their profits, then that is known as greedflation. The increase in prices of the commodity because of the corporate greed to increase the profit is given the term greedflation. Now, what is the proof of greedflation? So in the USA, studies have been done, and it has been found that corporate profit, it has increased severely after the pandemic. The proportion of profits to the entire national income, it has increased so much that it has risen the highest level in the past 100 years. Okay, so you can see over here in 2020, this is the profit levels of the various corporates. In last time, the same levels were seen 100 years before. So it has risen to highest level in the past 100 years. Even if you see over here, see, ideally what happens between 1979 till 2019, the increase in prices of the commodities, they were driven mainly by increase in labor cost or increase in non-labor input cost. There was a very small percentage where it increased because of increase in corporate profits. But after the pandemic, you can see over here, between 2020 to 21, it was seen that the highest reason for increase in prices was corporate profits. There was a tiny increase in unit labor cost, a small increase in the non-labor cost, but a huge 53.9% increase in corporate profits. Okay, so I'll just explain. See, selling price, Ayushi, take a look over here. Okay, Ayushi wants me to explain the concept of selling price and greedflation once again. Many of you might want that as well, so just take a look over here. See, selling price, it has three components. What is selling price? It is basically the MRP that you pay in the market. If you are buying a toothpaste, you are paying 100 rupees to the person to get the toothpaste. So that is the MRP or the selling price. Okay, so selling price includes the labor cost, that is the wages that is provided to the laborers, the non-labor cost, that is the other cost apart from labor cost, that includes the land rent, the interest that is provided on the capital that is taken as a loan, the various taxes, the various compliance fees, and then the third part is profits. So there can be three reasons why the MRP of a product can increase. Now look at this particular graph. You will see that between 79 to 2019, the major reason for increase in the MRP was labor cost. In 61.8%, contribution was of labor cost. Only 11.4% contribution in increase of MRPs was that of corporate profits. Okay, and non-labor cost has 26.8% involvement. Now between 2020 to 2021, profits, they have increased their involvement to 53.9%. So this shows that it is the corporate greed for profit that is causing inflation in various economies. See, Bureau of Economic Analysis, it is an agency which is based in USA for doing these kind of research. Another proof is that according to a chief economist of European Central Bank, he gave this statement. He said clearly that inflation in Europe, it is mainly caused because of fuel price with very little contribution on higher wages. See, fuel prices increasing because of what? Ukraine-Russia war in Europe. So he has said clearly that the reason for increase in inflation in Europe is fuel prices. There is no increase that has of wages with the people. Only the fuel price is increasing, that is the non-labor cost is increasing, and that is why inflation is there. However, he also accepted that profit maximization is also one of the reasons for this inflation. So selling prices, labor cost, non-labor cost, and profit. So this chief economist has said that the major reason is non-labor cost, that is the fuel cost. Another big reason is the profit or the profit maximization by the corporates. The labor cost, it has very minimal impact on the increased inflation in Europe. So he has clearly said it, and it is the chief economist who has said it. So that is a very good proof that yes, this phenomena is taking place. Also, IMF, the International Monetary Fund, it conducted a study in Europe. So, according to that study, the contribution of profits, of rising profits in inflation in Europe, it is higher than rising import prices. So, what had happened because of COVID? There were disruptions in supply chains. Supply chains got disrupted because of pandemic, because there was lockdown, transport was not possible. So this company, it was not able to get the raw materials, or it was getting the raw materials at a very high prices. It had to import raw materials at very high prices from other countries. Okay, so this led to what? Increase in input cost, which led to what? Increase in prices. So this is rising import price and its impact on inflation. However, the IMF study, it clearly stated that the contribution of rising profits, it is much higher in European inflation compared to the rise in prices of the imports. So these are very concrete proofs that yes, greedflation is a phenomena that is taking place. What about the status of India? See, in India, what has happened, you can see over here, the amount, this table, it is showing the profit, the net profit of the listed companies, the companies that are listed in the various stock exchanges. Just a second. Okay, we'll come to the control measures as well. Okay, so don't worry. So in India, it was found, according to a study by CMIE, it's written here, the full form is here, Center for Monitoring Indian Economy. So the study was done by CMIE, which found that the profits of the listed companies in India, it has increased a lot. It has increased to 3.5 times higher compared to the average profits of these companies in the pre-pandemic phase. So basically, right now, earlier between December 2017 to December 2019, the average profit of these companies was just 0.83 trillion rupees. However, in the last quarter, that is March 23 quarter, it was found that the profit has increased to 2.9 trillion rupees. So it has increased a lot. The profit of these companies has increased a lot. The report that was released along with this graph, in that report, one of the experts, he stated that yes, the biggest reason for price rise in India as well has been seen as increase in profit margins. Now, what challenges does this cause? Sorry, before that, what are the arguments against? So up until now, we saw what is the proof. We had graphical proof. The chief economist had also stated that yes, this is a proof of greedflation. However, there are certain arguments against this. Specifically for USA, what happened here was that the money supply, it increased a lot after pandemic, because the Fed, the US Fed, the US counterpart of India's RBI, the US central bank, it adopted an expansionary monetary policy. So in expansionary monetary policy, what happens? The bank, it reduces the interest rates. So what can happen because of that? The businesses and the people, they can get loans at less interest rates. So the businesses, they can invest in their businesses, people can invest in other things as well. Okay, so this led to an increase in the money supply in USA by 40%. So many people are saying that it is not the increase in profits of the company, but overall increase in money supply in the USA that is leading to inflation in USA. So it is not greedflation, it is a normal inflation. Also, generally it has been found what happened is during pandemic, many of the small businesses, they were not able to sustain themselves because of the rising cost, because of the reduction in demand. The bigger companies who had very deep pockets, they were able to survive during the pandemic. So the competition for these big companies, it reduced because many of the smaller players, they were eliminated from the economy, right? So because their competition reduced, that means more people, they became their customers. So because the more people became their customers, that means that naturally meant that their profit would increase. There's no competition anymore. With deep pockets, it means that the companies who have a lot of money with them, they have a lot of money with them. So even during pandemic, they were able to sustain themselves. They did not shut down their businesses. So the small businesses were eliminated. Only the large businesses, they were able to survive the pandemic. So their competition reduced. So that naturally should have meant that this would have increased what? Their profits. So that means that greedflation is not real. It was because these companies, they lost the competition. There was no competition. So they got more customers, and that is why their profit margins increased. Okay. So basically, what this is saying is that greedflation is something that is just a construct. It is not an actual thing. It is just a perceptional thing. Some people might think that it is because this company has increased its profit, that means the profits have increased only because of the corporate greed. There might be other reasons that the profit is increasing, right? So what challenges does this pose? Does greedflation pose? See, first is that if greedflation is a real phenomena, then in that case, adjusting interest rate is not a solution for reducing the inflation in the market that has been caused due to greed. Because the monetary policy, it is able to manage inflation by what? Increasing the interest rates. If the interest rates are increased, people, instead of spending their money, would want to go to the bank and put their money in the bank and get higher interest rate on that money, right? So they will not have enough money to spend in the market, so the commodity prices will reduce. However, if this is done in case of greedflation led inflation, then what will happen? People won't have money, but the commodity prices will not come down. Why? Because it is the corporate greed. It is the corporate greed that is driving the higher prices, and it is not the increased demand that is causing the prices to rise. So the solution can be taxation on the profits. So higher the profits, higher the taxes that the corporate agency has to pay. But this will affect even the innocent companies, the companies which are not involved in any kind of profit maximization for corporate greed. Also, another very big challenge that puts a question mark on this entire concept of greedflation is that it is difficult to determine whether the price has risen due to profit or due to an increase in labor or other input costs. Okay, so this is a big question mark. You cannot keep checking every company, every commodity whose price has risen to check whether it has risen due to the profit margins. So it is very difficult to determine whether or not greedflation exists or not. Okay, so this is about greedflation. Here is the question related to it. Recently seen in the news, the term greedflation is best related to which of the following? When prices increase by more than 50% in a month, a situation where government expenditure exceeds revenue, a situation where government intentionally depreciates the currency to increase its exports, when companies intentionally raise profit margins during inflation. 15 seconds. Sahil, as of now, we are not able to exactly determine whether greedflation is existing, whether we can call it officially a term. This is just a term that is, it has been thrown around like a pop culture reference. It is not an established economic term. So as of now, the countries, they are not taking any measures for this. Pulkit, that is what I'm saying. Greedflation, this concept, it is just a theoretical concept. Okay, it cannot be proven whether or not the prices have increased because of greed only. There are a lot of factors that are involved. Okay, so this is just a theoretical concept as of now. So most of you have given the right answer. This was a very direct question. Yes, when the companies intentionally raise profit margins during inflation, that is what is greedflation. The next topic, it is a very important, a very interesting and slightly complex topic. So I request all of you to just put focus on the screen. Okay. So this topic is about gravitational waves. The reason why this is a news once again is because the scientists, they have discovered that the solar system, our solar system, it is replete with many low frequency gravitational wave activity. Replete means the low frequency gravitational wave activity is very commonly observed in our solar system. It's very common in our solar system, and now we have observed it. They also claimed that this gravitational wave, it can be heard. The humming sound that is being made by them, it can be heard by us, by these low frequency gravitational waves. Okay, just refresh the screen. Replete means commonly available. So that means that low frequency gravitational wave activity, it is very common in our solar system. So please note that in 2015, for the first time, the gravitational waves were conclusively observed in our universe. 2015 was the first time. We'll come to what gravitational waves are. Don't worry, okay? So in 2015, they were first observed. And for this observation in the year 2017, the group of scientists at LIGO, that is Laser Interferometer Gravitational Observatory, located in USA, the scientists of LIGO, they received the Nobel Prize for this discovery of gravitational waves in 2015. Okay, 2017 Nobel Prize in Physics. So, but this discovery, this current discovery of gravitational waves in our solar system, it is different from the 2015 discovery of gravitational waves. How? It is because the 2015 gravitational waves, they were high frequency waves. However, the currently observed gravitational waves are low frequency waves. What is frequency? So this is 1 second time duration. In this 1 second time duration, this is one wave, one wavelength. Number of times a wave passes through a location in 1 second. So that is frequency. So that means this is also 1 second. So that means the frequency over here, it is higher because more number of waves are passing in 1 second compared to over here where lesser number of waves were passing. Okay. So frequency is number of waves that pass through a region, pass through an area in 1 second. So the current observation in the solar system has found low frequency gravitational waves. Earlier we found the high frequency gravitational waves. This is the first time that low frequency gravitational waves were observed in the universe. So what exactly are gravitational waves? Very commonly available definition is what? Gravitational waves are ripples in space and time. I'll show you how. So this is space and time. Consider this as a plane of space and time. Now what happens when there is a mass that is put in this space? It creates what? It distorts this area, right? It is distorting this plane of space and time, right? So this distortion that is created by the mass of the object that is present in that location, it is called gravitational wave. Okay, you can see over here in this image, this body, it is moving in this entire region of space and time. So while this body is moving, it is creating what? It is creating ripples in the fabric of space and time. So this is gravitational wave. So the frequency of the gravitational wave, frequency I explained what it was. 2015 we observed high frequency gravitational waves, and since then all the observations were of high frequency gravitational waves. For the first time we observed the low frequency gravitational waves. So the frequency range of the gravitational waves, it provides a lot of information about these waves. What kind of information? Lower the frequency, larger is the mass that is involved. Lower the frequency, that means more frequently. So if this kind of frequency is seen compared to this kind of frequency, that means this object is a heavier one. It is causing more distortion in the space and time fabric compared to a less heavy object or the lighter object. If you see this pen, this is what? This is a light object. So amount of distortion it will cause, it will be less compared to an object like this mouse. It is causing more distortion in the space and time. So that means because of this, because of the mass, because of more distortion, that means the frequency of the gravitational wave that is created, it will be lower compared to the objects which are heavy, which are lighter. So lower the frequency, that means heavier is the object. So what is the importance of the gravitational wave? The importance of gravitational wave is that you know that almost 25% of our universe, it is composed of what? Dark matter. Light matter is what? That can be observed through electromagnetic radiation. So that is light matter, which can be observed through electromagnetic radiation. However, there is almost 25% of matter of the universe which does not interact with the electromagnetic radiations. They do not interfere with the movement of electromagnetic radiation. So we are not able to observe this matter. We are not able to observe this matter. That means we are not able to identify where it exists, what are its property, and some other things, right? Now what happens, this dark matter, it has a mass. It definitely has a mass associated with it. Now gravitational waves, they interact with what? Any body that has mass, right? So by studying the gravitational waves, we will be able to see or observe, basically detect, not see, we'll be able to detect this dark matter of our universe. So that is why gravitational waves become very important, right? Gravitational waves will help us in studying the dark matter of the universe. So that is the importance associated with gravitational waves. Now these new gravitational waves, these low frequency gravitational waves, how were they observed? It was done using radio telescopes. So I'll tell you the mechanism right now, okay? So this particular experiment, it used 6 large radio telescopes that are spread all across the world. So what did they do? They studied pulsars. Now pulsars are what? Pulsars are distant, rapidly rotating neutron stars which emit pulses of radiation. Okay, what are neutron stars? So this is a star. If this star's mass is greater than 1.39 times the mass of sun, then after its death, it will convert either into a black hole or into a neutron star. So it is a very dense celestial object. If the mass is less than 1.39 mass of sun, it will convert into what? A white dwarf after its death. Okay, so neutron stars, they are basically what? They are basically very dense celestial bodies, very extremely dense, however not as dense as black holes. So of these, the lighter ones become neutron stars and the heavier ones become black holes. So neutron stars, they are very dense but less dense than the black holes. So neutron stars, that is why they interact with the electromagnetic radiations, and their movement, it leads to release of electromagnetic radiations in the form of radio waves. So when neutron stars, they are rapidly rotating, they release pulses of radio waves. So they release pulses of radio waves. That is why they are known as pulsars. They are releasing pulses. That's why pulsars. Okay. So they release pulses of radio waves. Now please note that these pulses of radio waves, their timing is very important. They are identified, or they are released at very specific time intervals. For example, if one wave is released at 0 second, the second wave will release at 5 second, third will release at 10 second, and so on. This period will never change. So that is why, because of this nature of the pulsars, they are also known as cosmic clocks, because they are very punctual about when they are releasing these pulses. Okay, so these pulsars, they release these pulses of radio waves which can be detected by these radio telescopes on Earth. Now for this experiment, what happened is that 25 pulsars, they were observed over a duration of 15 years. So these pulsars were observed. the time when these pulses, they were experienced or they were caught by these telescopes, it was recorded. This time was recorded. Okay, so pulsars, they are extremely punctual. There's no way that the time in which they are releasing these pulses, it will change. Okay, so that is one thing that is extremely static, right? However, it was observed that some of the signals from these pulsars, they were arriving a little early compared to the others. So this was observed. However, the time at which the pulses are being released, it cannot change. They are very punctual about it. The pulsars are very punctual that they have to release the radio wave at this interval. Also, the speed of light, it will never change. So the speed of light is not changing, the time is not changing. So what is the third thing? The distance. So when you calculate speed, what it is? Distance upon time, right? So speed is cannot change, it is fixed, 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. The time will not change because these pulsars are very punctual about their time. Then what is the third thing remaining? It is the distance. So the scientists thought that the only way this can be explained is that if the distance that is being traveled by that radio pulse, it reduces. So what happens in case of gravitational waves? What is basically gravitational wave? A ripple in space and time. So this is your space and time. This is point A. This is point B. Okay. This is the distance. Say this is 15 centimeter. This is the distance between point A and point B. But what happens if there is a gravitational wave that moves through here? The distance between point A and point B will reduce. This is reducing. So that is why, because the distance has reduced, so that is why the time taken by this pulse to reach the other end, keeping speed as same, will also reduce, right? So the only reason why some radio waves were being caught earlier compared to the other ones was because when these radio waves were passing through that region, a gravitational wave was also passing through that region, which reduced the distance between point A and point B. So this is the normal distance. This is the distance when the gravitational wave was passing. So by observing this time difference, it was finally realized that it is actually gravitational waves that are causing this time difference, this discrepancy between the time taken to travel by these radio waves. However, this discrepancy was just the difference of a millionth second. However, that was also a big thing in case of pulsars, because pulsars are very punctual in the in how they are releasing these pulses. Okay, so these waves, they were coming from very large monster black holes. They were huge, massive black holes that are usually found where? At the center of galaxy. So because they were coming from these monster black holes, that's why their frequency was low. Higher the weight, lower the frequency. Higher the frequency, lower the weight. So that is the connection between these two. Okay. Okay. So someone has a doubt that because bulge distance is more. See, light always travels in straight line. Okay. So A to B, when the light has to travel from A to B, it will take the shortest distance possible. So when it is traveling from here to here, A to B, right now it has to travel 15 centimeter. Now, because there has been a bulge, it has to travel say 10 centimeter now. So because the distance travel has reduced, speed cannot change. So that means time taken will also reduce. So this is the reason why certain radio waves, they were being caught at an earlier time compared to the other ones. Okay. Okay, this is complex. I'll repeat this once again. Okay. So 25 pulsars were observed by the team for 15 years. So pulsars are what? Pulsars are rotating neutron stars, rapidly rotating neutron stars, which release bursts of radio waves. So they are releasing bursts of radio waves. They are very punctual. They are very punctual in nature. That means that the time interval between the release of two radio waves, it will never change in case of pulsars. Okay. So time is constant. Speed is constant because these pulses are what? Electromagnetic radiations. These are radio waves. These pulses, they will always travel at the speed of light. Time is constant, speed is constant. Then why are some radio waves being detected earlier compared to the other ones? Why? Because there was a change in distance. There was a movement of gravitational waves from this space while one of the radio waves was traveling. So that means the distance that it had to cover, it reduced. So that is why its time taken also reduced. Other waves, when they were traveling, there was no movement of radio wave from this location. So they had to travel the normal distance, and that is why they were received a little late compared to the other radio waves. Okay. Okay. So they finally observed that there are many such gravitational waves that are flowing all across our solar system. These gravitational waves are low frequency gravitational waves and not the high frequency gravitational waves that were earlier observed. So how was India involved in this finding? One of the 5 teams of radio astronomers that were involved in this experiment was Indian. Okay, so this team was Indian Pulsar Timing Array. So there were 5 teams that were involved. One of the teams was an Indian team which collaborated with people from Europe, Japan, and many other countries in order to make this finding. Apart from that, one of the 6 telescopes that were used for detection of these radio waves from the pulses, they were from India. It is located in the district of Pune at a place which is known as Narayan Gaon. So it is located at the campus of National Center for Radio Astrophysics of Pune in a place known as Narayan Gaon. It is Pune district. Okay. It is one of the largest and most sensitive radio telescope of the world. Sensitive, that means even if there is a very small radio wave, it can be detected by this telescope. Now this telescope, it is not a single body. This telescope, the Giant Meter Wave Telescope, it is made up of 300 steerable smaller telescopes. So all these small parabolic telescopes, these 300 telescopes, they capture some information, and this information, it is collated and a final picture it is released. Okay, so this Giant Meter Wave Telescope, it is actually an array. It is actually made up of 300 small telescopes. Okay, so all the information from these small telescopes, it is collated, it is merged together, and the final information is produced. It was first tested in 1995 and it got finally constructed. The construction finally ended and it came into official use since 1996. Okay. So what were the other radio telescopes apart from our GMT telescope? What were the other ones that were used in this particular project? One was from Germany, known as 100-meter Effelsberg radio telescope. Another was from UK, Jodrell Bank Observatory Lowell telescope, Nancy radio telescope of France, Sardinia radio telescope of Italy, and Westerbork synthesis radio telescope of Netherlands. So apart from one telescope of India, all the 5 other telescopes, they were from Europe. So that again is a very big achievement for India, that all the other, they were from Europe. From rest of the world, there was only one radio telescope that was in India. Okay. So here is your practice question. How many of the following statements are true regarding gravitational waves? They were first discovered in 2015. They can help in detection of dark matter in the universe. The more massive the body, higher will be the frequency of gravitational wave it produces. Start. Ravinder, gravitational waves, they will help us in detection of dark matter. So that is the significance of gravitational waves. Also, if someone wants to know more further about it, it's basically, this is not only if someone's interested, I'm giving out this information. So basically, there is a model of physics. We want to develop a unified model of physics, and for that, gravitational waves, they are very important. Okay, you don't need to know what is this unified model of physics, nothing like that. For anyone who's curious, you can just Google it. It is not useful for your UPSC. So most of you have given the right answer. This is correct, this is correct, this is incorrect. Massive the body, lower will be the frequency. Okay, so B is your correct answer. Next we come to SOO agreement. Now SOO agreement, it has been in news since the month of March. SOO means suspension of operations. Suspensions of operations agreement. In the month of March, the state of Manipur, the state government of Manipur, it said that it is going to withdraw this SOO agreement between the various bodies. Why did it say that? It said because the involved parties, they violated section 144 that was placed in the state, and they instigated people to agitate against the state government. However, since the last month, what is happening? There has been a lot of violence in the state of Manipur. So that is why now the Home Minister of India, he met the CM of Manipur, and he said that the SOO agreement, it will again come into operation, it was suspended in March, but now our Home Minister has said that no, we are again following all the protocols of SOO agreement. So what exactly is this SOO agreement? Once again, suspension of operations. This is the full form of SOO. Now this agreement was signed as a part of peace agreement in 2008. So in 1990s, what happened? There were fights between Nagas and Kukis. So this led to death of more than 100 people. Now this insurgency continued in the state of Manipur, and finally, as a part of peace agreement in 2008, on 22nd August, between 25 Kuki insurgent groups, the state government and the central government, they signed this SOO agreement. So it is a tripartite agreement that is signed between 3 parties. One is the various Kuki insurgent groups. Other is the state government of Manipur. The third one is the central government. So out of 30 insurgent groups of Kukis, 25 of them, only 25 of them signed this particular agreement. Of these 25, 17 of these groups, they belong to KNO, Kuki National Organization, and 8 of these insurgent groups, they belong to United People's Front. So it is a tripartite agreement. The insurgent groups, after signing this particular agreement, they reduced their demand. Earlier, they were demanding for a completely separate state away from state of Manipur. But now they reduced their demand. The Kuki group said that we do not want a separate state, just give us a Kuki Territorial Council. Now, this Kuki Territorial Council that came into being after this agreement, it had financial and administrative powers that were separate from the state government. Okay, so state government, it had some powers, but this Kuki Territorial Council, it had its own powers for administration of finances and general things in that KTC, in that territory of the Kukis. Okay, now this agreement, it was to be valid for 1 year after signing, and it could be extended as long as they wanted. Okay, so up until now it was being extended. In March it was suspended for a brief time, but last week it was again reinstated. In this agreement, a joint monitoring group, it has been formed to see if the agreement, it is being implemented properly. For effective implementation of the agreement, this JMG, Joint Monitoring Group, was formed with representatives of all the three parties, that is the Kuki insurgent groups, the state government, and the central government. Okay, so what all are the provisions, or what all are the terms of this SOO? Under this, the security forces, including the state and the central security forces, as well as the underground groups, the underground insurgent groups, the Kuki groups, they agreed that they will not launch any kind of operations, any kind of offensive operations against each other. So all the three parties, they agreed that we will not attack you. Okay, the UPF, United People's Front, and the Kuki National Organization, they agreed to abide by the constitution of the country and the laws of the state. They said that yes, the constitution, it is the supreme document of the country. We will respect the constitution of India, we will respect the laws of the state, and we will respect the territorial integrity of the state of Manipur. We will not demand for any separate state up from now. Okay, so they agreed for a territorial council. They said we do not want a state anymore. They also agreed that they will not undertake any kind of agitation, or they will not commit any kinds of atrocities against any of the citizens or central or state government officials and other people. Okay, in return, also the cadres of the militants, of these militant groups, the people who were involved in these militant groups, their soldiers of these militant groups, they were restricted to certain camps, certain defined camps. Now these camps, they were defined, their area was defined by the government. So they were restricted to these defined government identified camps. Also their arms and ammunitions, their guns, their bombs, everything, they are to be kept double locked in these camps, because they agreed that they will not launch any operation. So all their arms and ammunition, it will be kept in a double locked position, and it can be used only for guarding and protecting their camps and their leaders. So they can only use them for self-defense and not for any kind of offense. Also, there was a rehabilitation package that will be provided to these cadres. So all the cadres of these militants, all the soldiers of these militant groups, they will be provided with 5,000 rupees per month as a stipend, and money will be provided for maintenance of these camps, of these identified camps. So all these, they were the terms of this SOO, this suspension of operations agreement. They are suspending any kind of operations, offensive operations against each other. Third one, I'll repeat once again, Saurabh. This means that cadres of the militants, what is cadres? It is basically the soldiers who are involved in that militant group. So these soldiers, they will be restricted. They can live in certain defined camps, certain camps that are defined by the government. They cannot move, they cannot live beyond these regions. Okay. So Ambesh, I hope your query is also resolved. Okay. Ayati, double lock basically means this is one door, this is second door, the arms will be kept here. This is the literal definition. They will be kept in double lock position so that they cannot be easily used. Sakshi, the objective of this agreement was to bring peace in that area. The Kukis, they were demanding for a separate state. There was a lot of insurgency over there. There were a lot of clashes between the Kukis and the other groups. So that is why the government agreed to their demands that they will be provided with a separate territorial council. Ravinder, yes, this agreement has been implemented. However, briefly in March, the CM said that they'll be suspending this agreement. Why? Because there was a proof that some of these people, they were agitating other people to act against the state government. Aniket, there are continuous checks because these are government identified camps. There are continuous checks that are done on these camps, that whether or not they are following this procedure. Okay. So now we come to a practice question, very easy one. So I'm giving you only 10 seconds for this one. Okay. Archana, rehabilitation package means the government will provide these groups with certain financial assistance. 5,000 rupees as stipend for all their soldiers, and also money in order to maintain that identified camp. So yes, all of you have given the right answer, most of you. It is B, that is Manipur. It is related to the state of Manipur. Next topic, bald eagle and Hessarius, Mumbai. So this is a very straightforward topic, just simple information that will be provided to you. So bald eagle, it has come back from the brink of extinction. Now bald eagle is what? It is the national bird of USA, and today incidentally is what? The Independence Day of USA, 4th of July. So bald eagle, it was made the national bird of USA back in the year 1782. In the 18th century, this eagle was very predominant in this region, in USA. It was very commonly found over there. However, their population, it started to show a decline in the 1800s, and this decline in population, it kept on happening for many years. What were the various reasons for this decline? One was that these eagles, they used to hunt the livestock and the poultry of the various farmers. So these farmers, they started killing these eagles to protect their livestock and the poultry. So many counties of USA, county is basically the equivalent of district in USA. Okay, so many counties of USA, they also used to provide ransom against these bald eagles in order to protect the resources of the farmers, the livestock and the other property of these farmers. So that was one of the reasons. A lot of hunting and poaching of these bald eagles, it was there. Yes, this is a picture of bald eagle. Okay, other cause was use of DDT. Now, what is DDT? Dichloro, diphenyl, trichloroethane. Now, DDT, it was a chemical that was first identified when it was identified or synthesized in the lab in the year 1874. In the year 1939, it was observed that DDT is a very good insecticide, and it was extensively being used all across the world for killing of mosquitoes that cause malaria, that is the Anopheles mosquitoes. Later on, it started being used in the agricultural fields. So it was used in agricultural fields to kill the pests and the insects that were attacking the crops. So there was extensive use of DDT. However, many researchers, they found out that DDT is actually poisonous. So when DDT, it used to wash away from the agricultural fields, it used to go in the ponds and the lakes and the rivers. So the fish, they used to ingest particles of DDT. So when these eagles, they used to eat this DDT, the DDT, it used to enter their body as well. So when it entered their body, the eggs that were produced by these eagles, these eggs, they had very thin shell. So before the hatching of these eggs, before the entire development of the child, these eggs, they used to break. So what used to happen? The eggs, the nest, they used to have lots of eggs, but no children were being produced because these eggs, they used to crack or break before the children, they were able to come out of these eggs. So the children, they used to die, the eaglets, they used to die off. And yes, Bharat stated very well in the comment section that that this information about the harmful impacts of DDT, it came into light after this book known as Silent Spring by an author known as Rachel Carson. Rachel. So this came in 1970s. This information came in 1970s. So DDT, it was banned. Okay, Pulkit, DDT used to enter eagle's body because eagle, they used to hunt fish from the rivers. Now in this rivers, what used to happen? From the agricultural field, due to rainfall, in the agriculture field, a lot of DDT was used to kill the pests and the insects. So after rainfall, this DDT, it used to travel to the various lakes and ponds. The fish, it used to ingest this DDT, and when it was eaten by the eagle, it used to come into the body of the eagle. Okay, so yes, that used to happen. In 1940, the Bald and Golden Eagle Protection Act was introduced in USA to prevent any kind of hunting and poaching of the eagles. However, up until this time, the harmful impact of DDT was not identified. It was identified after this book by Rachel Carson, and in 1972, DDT use, it was completely banned in USA. In 1973, USA also released an Endangered Species Act. Now, 1973, it is the same year that India released what? Wildlife Protection Act. So it was the same year, okay? So US, it released this Endangered Species Act, wherein the bald eagle was provided the highest level of protection. Also, captive breeding of these eagles, it started in 1970s. Captive breeding means these eagles, they were kept in either zoos or research facilities where they were made to mate, and there was breeding of these eagles. So the eggs, they were released in these facilities, in either zoos, in very protected areas, in either zoos or the research facilities. So captive breeding also started in 1970s. So finally, it was, sorry, yes, Wildlife Protection Act was 1972. 1973 was Project Tiger. So in 2007, the success of all these steps, it came into light. So finally in 2007, what happened? The bald eagle, it was finally removed from the endangered category to the threatened category. The current status, the current IUCN status of bald eagle is least concern. In fact, in 2021, a report was released by United States Fish and Wildlife Service that their population has now grown 4 times compared to the population in 2009. So this is basically a case study that shows that there was a huge success of these steps, these conservation steps, with regards to bringing back the bald eagle back from the brink of extinction. Next, we have this particular map which shows the range of this bald eagle. Now, bald eagle, it is found in most of the parts of North America, that is in Canada, in USA, as well as in Mexico. The IUCN status, it is least concern, and the females of this species, they are slightly bigger in size compared to the males. Next, we come to another species, that is Hessarius mumbai. Now, Hessarius mumbai, it is a new species of a spider, jumping spider, which has been found in a location known as Goregaon in Mumbai. Now, the NCR people, do not confuse this with Gurgaon. Gurgaon is different. It is near Delhi. It is a place in Haryana. Goregaon, it is a place in Mumbai. Okay. So, Hessarius mumbai, it is found in Mumbai. This new species has been identified in Mumbai, and that is why it is named after this city. It is a jumping spider. Jumping spider, it belongs to Salticidae family. So all the spiders of Salticidae family, they are jumping spiders. So why are they called jumping spiders? It is because instead of capturing their prey in the webs, they actually stalk and pounce, jump on their prey. So usually what happens, spiders, they are very slow and they do not hunt their prey. They just ensure that their prey gets tangled in the web that they have created, right? But these jumping spiders, they are very good hunters. They are very agile, very fast moving. They can jump and pounce on their prey and capture it. Okay, so that is why they are known as jumping spider. They are usually found in warm climates, and they were first discovered globally in the year 1826. So there are more than 600 varieties of jumping spiders, or the spiders from Salticidae family. Okay. However, in India, apart from Hessarius mumbai, we have only two other jumping spider species. One is Hessarius adansoni, which is found all over India, especially in the urban areas. The second one is Hessarius jailrupi, which is found in the Nicobar Islands of Andaman and Nicobar. Okay. So this is about Hessarius monkey. So these monkeys, instead of building webs and capturing their prey, they jump and pounce on their prey and capture it. So here is the question. Identify the correct statements. Bald eagles are found all across North America. India has 3 recorded species of jumping spider. Okay. So, second statement, definitely correct. The last statement of the previous slide. What about this one? See, as stated, they are found in parts of North America, in Canada, in USA, and in Mexico. However, many of us, we often forget, this is important for your mapping section as well. We often forget that Central America, Central American nations, they also are a part of North America. I stated clearly that they are found in parts of North America. That means only in these three countries. They are not found in Central American countries. So that is why this is wrong. So during mapping also, please keep this in your mind. Okay. So one is wrong, second is correct, and the correct answer is B. Now mapping locations very quickly, just 2 slides are there. First is Belize. Now Belize, why is it in news? Belize is in news because it is certified as malaria free by WHO. Okay, Anwar, yes, North America, okay, just one doubt. North America is a continent. USA is a country. United States of America is a country. Okay, so yes, you are right. North America is a continent. In this continent, we have Central American countries are also a part of North America. Rahul, species name of the spider is Hasarius mumbai. Okay. So Belize, it is in news because it has been certified as malaria free by WHO. And where statement 1 is wrong. Here again, it is not found all across North America. It is only found in 3 countries of North America, Canada, US, and Mexico. It is not found in Central American region. In Guatemala, El Salvador, Belize, these are also part of North American continent. Okay. So Belize, as I stated, Ashwin, 3 species are found, 3 recorded species of jumping spider. One is Hasarius mumbai, then we have Hasarius adamsoni and Hasarius gelrupi. Now mapping, now Belize, it is a country in Central America. You can see over here, this is Belize. It is bordered by two other countries. One is Mexico, other is Guatemala. And the water bodies surrounding this particular country includes Caribbean Sea. Okay. So and also Gulf of Honduras. So Belize, it is a country in Central America. On one side it has Mexico, other side it shares its border with Guatemala. The water bodies surrounding it include the Caribbean Sea as well as the Gulf of Honduras. Now it has a mountain range known as Maya Mountains in its southern portion, south central portion. The biggest peak of this country is the Victoria Peak. You can see over here Victoria Peak. The capital of Belize is what? Capital of Belize is Belmopan. Okay. And the most important river of this country is Belize River. This is the Belize River. Okay, so this is the information about the country of Belize. It is located in Central America, and these are the water bodies and the other countries that surround it. Next, we have Egypt. Why is Egypt so important? Because recently our Prime Minister, he made an official visit to Egypt where he was awarded with what? The highest civilian award of Egypt, that is the Order of Nile. Now, Nile River, it is very closely associated with entire Egypt. Okay. Rahul, sorry, Satakshi, the river name is Belize. Belize, it was in news because why? Because it has been declared as malaria free by WHO. Rahul, I did not get your question. I'm so sorry. Okay. So Egypt, it is important because Prime Minister got the highest honor of Egypt, that is the Order of Nile. Now, Nile River, it is the lifeline of Egypt. It passes through the western side of the country. From here, it makes a lake known as Nasser Lake, Lake Nasser, and it finally ends itself in the Mediterranean Sea. So, Egypt, it is surrounded by three countries. On this side, we have Libya. On the southern side, it is Sudan. On this side, it is Israel. Okay. The Suez Canal. Here is Suez Canal. The Suez Canal, it is located over here. So please note that on both the sides of Suez Canal is Egypt. This is also Egypt and this is also Egypt. Most important river is the Nile River. The pyramids of Giza are located very near to its capital of Cairo. So, regarding the water bodies that surround Egypt, we have Red Sea here, Gulf of Suez, and Mediterranean Sea. So these are the water bodies surrounding Egypt. It has three countries which share border with Egypt: Libya, Sudan, and Israel. Water bodies: Mediterranean Sea, Red Sea, and Gulf of Suez. Also Gulf of Aqaba. Okay. So this is all the information about Egypt. The Pyramid of Giza, they are one of the 7 wonders of world, which also includes the Taj Mahal. Okay. So this is all about this particular session. So because it was not mentioned in the list, it was added as a bonus topic. We do not have any question about it, but you can just make up questions about it, like which of the statements are correct. Belize surrounds Caribbean Sea. Egypt, it is located very near to the Indian Ocean. So you can see which options are correct. Egypt is not surrounding Indian Ocean. It shares its border with Red Sea. Okay. Okay. So that is all about this particular session. One doubt someone has, that how are gravitational waves detected? Vishal, we detected the first time the gravitational waves were detected by LIGO, by an interferometer. Right now, it was detected by detecting. It was a secondary detection. First, the radio waves were detected, which helped us in detecting the gravitational waves. Shiva, because Hasarius Mumbai has just been discovered, right now we do not have its IUCN status. Rahul, the spellings are available in the slide. You can take a look after the session ends. Okay. So let us end the session today. We have already reached our time limit. So thank you very much. I'm so sorry for all the disruptions that you had to face because of the internet connectivity. I hope the second part of the session, it went on smoothly. Okay. So thank you very much, and I'll see you again sometime. Good night to all of you.